What's the first Chiefs game you can recall going to?
This is not a great answer, but it's the truth.
Okay. Sure.
It was the Christmas Day game, 1971 Chiefs-Dolphins playoff game. It was at the old Municipal Stadium, and I was about 6 or so at the time, and I remember falling asleep in the press box watching the game because that was the longest game in NFL history, right? Went double overtime, and when I woke up, the stadium was dead silent because we had just lost the game. And that was sort of the end of that era of great Chiefs football. We'd been to Super Bowl I, Super Bowl IV, and that group of players had started to get a little bit older, and unfortunately we weren't able to get back.
Had your dad already coined the term Super Bowl by that point?
He had. That was in 1966 when the AFL and the NFL were merging.
Yeah.
He was in a meeting with some of the owners, and they were talking about the last game. My dad said, the last game, the final game, the Super Bowl. He just threw it out there, and the other owners looked at him.
Just casually?
Yeah, just casually. Just popped into his head, right at that moment. And nobody thought a lot about it, but they started referring to the game as the Super Bowl. The only problem was the commissioner, Pete Rozelle, actively disliked the name. He thought it lacked sophistication. Those were his words. Wow. And that's why the first couple of games were called the AFL-NFL World Championship game.
Right.
And it wasn't until Super Bowl III that the league relented and adopted Super Bowl because everybody, fans, media, they were all calling it the Super Bowl, so the league finally went in.
So it was basically Rozelle just couldn't resist it anymore because it had already been adopted, pretty much?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Wow. Yeah. Amazing. When my dad was asked after the fact, how did you come up with that?
Right.
He said, well, I've always been a fan of college football, and I've been to tons of bowl games, particularly Cotton Bowl games. And my mother, Norma, had given me and my older siblings the new toy of the day for Christmas.
Super Bowl?
Super Bowl in 1965. And my older siblings were bouncing them all over the house. I was like 1 year old, so I was probably gumming mine.
Yes. Right.
But my dad, saw those balls bounce all over the house, and it just stuck in his head.
Yeah, I remember having Super Balls, when I was a kid playing, and those things would just go down a drain or they'd just fly down the street. You could never really keep track of them.
Yeah.
So that maybe is what put that in the head of your dad, and it just came out like that.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you think of the Chiefs having a chance to be the first one to ever win 3 of them in a row? What do you think?
Nobody would have enjoyed the last 5 years more than my dad. He loved Chiefs football. He loved our fan base. He loved being at GEHA Field at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Those were all his favorite things, and he would have so enjoyed this run of success that we've had, and probably would just say, I can't believe it. It's absolutely amazing that the Chiefs have a chance for the three-peat.
Yeah, every Chief fan that I know, Rob Riggle was sitting in that chair, and Eric Stonestreet's coming in hour 3, and obviously, their work is well known, but just any fan, the people who are the hardworking fans of this great heartland of our country, the diehards, the casuals, and who have just come into fray right now, can't believe what is happening around here. And I'm wondering, does that hit you? Are you just as gobsmacked as everybody else?
I think so, a little bit. When you go 50 years between Super Bowls, that gives you an appreciation for how hard it is to even get in the game, much less win 3 of them in 5 years. So I think every Chiefs fan has a healthy appreciation for just how special this time period is, and we're certainly not going to take it for granted.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.